All right. So let's begin today's lecture. And this is one topic which you may not find in most of the textbooks. Okay. So let me make this very clear at the very beginning. So we need to understand it very clearly. And this is going to be very, very important in modern technology. So the reason why this topic, the Debye length concept, is not there in the standard devices books is because if we are speaking about microelectronic devices per se, then we do not have any issues concerning this Debye length problem. But in the modern technology, it becomes very important. Okay, so let us first understand this. So what we shall do is we will consider the typical case of a step junction. Okay, so why step junction is important? Because you will notice in simple PN junction, even in case of a MOSFET, what we often say is that okay, this is the interface. We will make like perfect rectangles over here. We will say this is n plus region, n plus region, and all that. Okay, so please remember that the edges are like straight lines when we are drawing the devices, right? Similarly, in case of PN junction, how do we write it? P and N. Okay, cool. As if this straight line mimics the actual scenario in real life. So that means there is a very sharp junction between P and N regions. In case of a BJT, we will just add another junction here. So now the problem which we are going to face is that no matter how good your technology is, so that means the fabrication technology is, you are never going to have a perfectly um, step kind of junction. Okay, and then uh, that is what you have to keep in mind when you are making the circuits, or when you are considering the devices for the circuits. Okay, so let's understand this. So what we are essentially meaning right now is that we let us assume that we are having one um, doping variation from here. Ideally we would expect it to be a perfect doping like this. Okay, so here we are going to have Na anything. Okay, and here it is Nd. This is the function of X. Okay, then what we want is, I mean, what we would ideally want is like a step junction like this. What in reality what happens is there will be Nd, and then there will be slight smearing out like this, and it will be like that. Okay, so what is the caution which you have to always keep in mind is that this distance, so from here until here, this distance is basically a very small, very tiny distance anyway. But over here we cannot ensure that we are having a, I mean, this is kind of a small error, so to speak, in our estimate of the actual junction. So our actual junction is supposed to be, let us say, at x0. But what we observe is that beyond x0, there is a small delta x around x0. And this distance, mm, we don't really bother about the exact value of this distance because it is, I mean, practically not possible to determine exactly what is the, where is the junction per se. Okay. Because as you can say, it is going to be smearing out a little bit. Okay. Now, this distance is in the order of Debye length LD. Okay. In fact, Debye was a Dutch scientist, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so he essentially invented this concept for plasma. Okay, so whenever there is any ionic difference in a material, so he essentially came up with this concept of Debye length, which essentially means that at until what distance the material will respond to a sudden change in the ionic concentration. ठीक है ना? So what it means is, what Debye started was, suppose there is a gaseous system. Okay, there are a lot of plus charges here, suddenly we say that okay, beyond this particular x0 it has to be minus. Debye said that it is not possible to have it exactly at x0, it is going to be smeared out, okay, to a distance of ld. So that's how he defined the Debye length in terms of the gaseous plasma or ionic plasma. Okay, but we don't have to go into that concept of plasma over here. Okay, but remember, he spoke about ionic plasma. Okay, remember, when we are doping the material, we are also getting some ions, right? Huh? So Na is going to be negatively charged. Okay, Nd is going to be positively charged. So if there is a difference in Na and Nd, that means, typical example, PN junction. From the next class, we'll begin with PN junction. So if you're having a PN junction like this, what will happen? You have got an Na over here, we have got Nd doping levels. So that means there will be more positive charges here, negative charges here. Make sense? Now the trouble is, if you are having a space charge region, that is, remember I told you about the space charge region, right? So if you are having depletion regions and all that, but there is a big difference between depletion length, depletion region width, and the Debye length. We will understand that later. But Debye length is much more fundamental than depletion width. Okay, depletion width means um, that is the distance where all the free carriers will be depleted. Okay, we will understand depletion width when we begin with the junctions next class. However, this is Debye length. Debye length simply means what is the order of the distance which the material will take to even respond to the sudden change in the doping level. Okay, it's not the response of the electron or hole pairs. Okay, we will understand that again later. But Debye length probably might be, I mean, anybody of you have heard the concept of Debye length before? It would be great if you know it, but hello, anyone? Because it's Debye length in ICFT, they have taught you Debye length. It's a very, very crucial term in modern technology. Yes, this is very important. It has to be in modern technology. We will understand why. So what we are going to do in today's lecture is that we are going to model this order of the distance, okay, inside the material or the devices. Okay, suppose you have got a PN junction here. So this is P region, this is N region. Okay, you suppose that okay, at x0 we have got a perfect junction. No, very close to that x0 on both sides, you are going to have a smearing of the doping levels. Doping levels in the sense that you will always have a smearing of the ionic concentration. Okay, immobile ion concentration will be different. Okay, it's not going to be a perfect step anywhere. So the meaning is that the material which you are using for making this junction, for example, a silicon PN junction, okay, very simple, PN diode, silicon made with silicon. So this LD will be the order of the length of that silicon across just in the vicinity of that junction, PN junction, where you are not going to get proper device characteristics. I mean, the material itself will not respond to the change, sudden change in the doping levels. Okay, am I able to explain? We will look into it even more as we go along, but the results of this analysis, this model will be startling. Okay, so let's begin with the fundamentals. So here we begin with the Maxwell's first equation as usual, Poisson equation. Okay, if it is for free space will not have any charges, right? Huh? So this rho v is going to be 0. So divergence d equal to 0 is Laplace equation. Okay, that is used in electromagnetics for the free space. In semiconductors, like in devices, we know that we are speaking about doping levels and all that. So the materials are essentially charged. So if there is a charge inherently inside the device, what is going to happen is you are always going to have a value of rho v which is not equal to 0. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so if this is the first Maxwell's equation, or simply I'll put Poisson equation. Okay, so and for simplicity, we will always we will consider only the one dimension. So we will assume that del f, del y, del f, del z are zero. Okay, that is why I have drawn only x over here. So the variation of the doping concentration is only in the along the x direction. ठीक है ना? So df dx is equal to rho v by epsilon, because remember capital D is equal to epsilon f. In this case, it is epsilon is silicon. Epsilon silicon. Okay. So q by epsilon silicon, and suppose we are considering only the ND part. Okay. For a more realistic situation, you can even consider ND minus NA. That is also fine. Remember, I am not specifically mentioning that this is ND plus and NA minus, because of that very fundamental assumption which I have told you, that we are choosing the dopant materials such that, remember, ED and EC, so EC minus ED, or this EA minus EV, they are less than or in the same order of KT. Remember that concept? What is that called? Shallow dopants. Okay, so as long as we are following the concept of shallow dopant, we will always imagine that whatever is the concentration of the dopant atoms, we are going to have equal number of dopant ions. So that means it is going to give away exactly ND number of electrons. Okay, so just for simplicity's sake, I am not considering this minus Na everywhere. Okay, so let's say this itself. Okay, the concept is kind of difficult, but you will understand how crucial it is, especially in modern technology. So Q by epsilon silicon, this is Nd minus. Instead of N, okay, I have simply used Ni e to the power of Ef minus Ei by Kt. Okay. Now, um, if there is a sudden change in the doping, like a step junction, the one which I have explaining, which I have been explaining. Now, if it is an ideal one, so let me just add another word here, like, okay, like an ideal step junction. So if it is an ideal step junction, you will expect that ND will be approximately equal to N and this. Makes sense, right? Then many of you will be thinking, sir, in that case, this ND and this will cancel, right? Isn't it? ND is equal to Ni, these will cancel. But this is not going to happen in reality. That is what we are driving at. So if it is an ideal step junction, like if it is an ideal PN junction, that is what you have always been studying until now. Then what will happen is, so as I'm telling you, we are learning devices and circuits we will learn in the next semester probably, or I do not know what is the depth in VLSI design course, but um, I mean, if I'm teaching the circuits, it will be on the next level. So similarly, this is also a next level. So we are essentially learning, I mean, even though you are kind of you expect that one will be Na, the other exactly on the other side of the abrupt step junction is going to be Nd. You are never going to have that. Okay, what is that error? So that is what is the error in the consideration of an abrupt junction. So that is the concept. I am repeating this many times so that you can understand this, because later on when I'll be teaching you depletion width, many of you are going to get confused the difference between depletion width and Debye length. So when we'll deal with the depletion width, we will get back over here again. So let's understand. So if it is an ideal step junction, you can clearly understand this Nd and Ni will be the same. So Ni e to the power this factor will be the same as I've written already. Okay. Now Ef minus Ei by Kt, I will use some shorthand notations that I have already told you earlier. So phi f, that is the Fermi potential. Okay. Again, let me just elaborate. Where Fermi potential essentially meaning the difference between the Fermi energy level and EI by minus Q. Now I need to go into this a little bit. Um, Notice that if you are having an EC here, this is an EV. Okay, somewhere in the middle you have got EI. Okay, now if it is the N type material, so where will be the EF? EF will be somewhere here. That means between EC and EI. Correct. So higher the donor concentration, EF will go on more and more towards EC. Correct. Now the difference between EF and EI, this part is essentially Q into phi F. I am putting the Q because phi F is expressed as a potential term. Okay, that's called Fermi potential. So the unit will be volts. Whereas here we have written EC, EF, EI, EV, which are all in electron volts. That is basically a unit of energy, potential energy, right? So that is the reason why we have to make sure that you are putting a Q over here. Many of you, like if you are brilliant, you will not make a mistake, but your seniors, for the last several years, I have noticed, even in the IITs, students often make the mistake of not putting this Q. Don't do that because phi F is not energy, it is potential. So you have to multiply with by charge. Charge into potential is the potential energy. Excellent. So now we have got this Q into phi F. Okay. So if you try to define what this phi F is, it is going to be EF minus EI by Q. Okay. EF minus EI by Q. All right. Now, what is important for us to note is that this notation essentially gives you a particular value of phi F, which is always going to be positive. But here, why is it minus? Because I mean, we will understand this even more when we are doing with um, MOSFETs. Now the situation is for the P-type material. So this is EF. This is going to be your Q phi F. So over here, what will be the expression for phi F? EI minus EF, this green one, divided by Q. EI minus EF divided by Q. Note, the way it is defined everywhere, the Fermi potential is with respect to P material. Why? Because the MOSFET theory is traditionally studied for N MOSFETs. So N MOSFET means N channel MOSFETs. So that means the substrate is always P type material. So this is P and this is N type material. So the definition of phi F is made as the difference between EI and EF. Okay, whichever is larger will come first, EI minus EF, divided by the charge of the channel, charge of the majority carriers. Remember, this theory which we are trying to drive at is primarily oriented towards MOSFETs because that is the current technology, right? So EI minus EF by क्या होगा यहाँ पर plus Q because we are speaking about the P MOSFET, P type material. In case of N type material, what is the situation? You are going to have EF higher than EI, right? So it is going to be EI minus EF. But what is the charge? The charge over here is going to be, this is N-type material. So the majority carriers in N-type material are electrons, right? So electronic charge is minus Q. So if you observe clearly that this minus and here is also a minus. So both these, I'm so sorry, this is going to be EF minus EI. EF minus EI. Okay, whichever is larger. So EF minus EI by minus Q and EI minus EF by plus Q, they are the same definition. So as a consequence, what happens is that if you go on expressing all the models with respect to the Fermi potential phi F, the theory becomes independent of P and N type MOSFETs. Are you getting me what I'm trying to tell you? So that is, we will again revisit this concept when we are doing MOSFETs. So I'm just defining this Fermi potential parameter like that. So it is either ei minus ef by plus q for uh, let me write with red color, for p type. This is for n type, because for n type the majority carrier is minus q charge. For p type the majority carrier is plus q charge, and in p type ei is larger than ef, and in n type ef is larger than ei. So basically these two equations are exactly mathematically the same, because Fermi potential, this parameter is taken as positive. Okay, so this is a small notation which I have used. So ef minus ei by kt basically turns out to be ef minus ei by minus q. And so um, okay, is it becoming confusing for you? Okay, so what we are trying to do here is phi t is the kt by q is basically the volt equivalent of temperature, and delta phi is that. Okay, so okay, this might be too much. We will look into this later, because the definition of Fermi potential is not the objective of this today's topic. So I'll just simply put ei minus ef. All right, ef minus ei by kt by q. Okay, just keep it simple. So it is nothing other than um, the absolute value of the difference of the Fermi energy level and the intrinsic Fermi energy level. Okay, now what we are going to do is, as I said, there is a sudden variation of the doping at the junction. Okay, now if the junction, if the doping basically goes according to this blue line here, okay, then let us assume that the doping changes by an amount delta nd. So accordingly, the instantaneous potential is also going to change by delta ei. Has to be, remember, in case of pn junction. So here is a doping of na, here is a doping of nd. This is n type, this is p type. Okay, so that means at any instance when it starts to decrease, what happens is there will be a change in the potential also. Okay, or energy, electrostatic potential energy. So I have put this variation as delta ei. Okay, so therefore nd minus delta nd will be equal to ni e to the power of ef minus ei by kt. That is nothing other than this phi f by phi t. And there is also another term e to the power of minus delta ei by kt, which I shall put it as delta phi by phi t. Okay, notice that the major thing which I have done here is I've introduced this small variation delta ei, which is the consequence of the sudden change of delta nd at the junction. Okay, so I am not suddenly saying that it is a step junction, so at one point it is nd, the other point is exactly na, or it is zero. No, there is definitely a decrease in the doping level from when it is going from nd to na, या फिर na to nd. Okay, so this part, if you notice, this equation, this part of the equation, what we understand is that within the Debye length, that means within this small region across the junction where there is a, we are assuming it is an ideal one, but it is not. Okay, during within this ld order, the Debye length order is distance में जहां पर आपने na to nd तक आपका variation हो रहा है. Okay, that small region in the space across that pn junction or that interface, whenever you are having a variation, you are always going to have from this relation here, this equation, I have put df dx is equal to q by epsilon si. Instead of nd, I am going to consider nd minus delta nd, which is because of the change in the doping level. Okay. Similarly, instead of this phi f by phi t, I will also change this difference because of the potential variation. Okay. Now, if you are trying to find out what is the expression for the field f is defined as minus ddx of the potential, right? यहाँ पर potential कहाँ है? ये phi f minus delta phi. Notice the variation of the potential energy, Fermi potential level is much less compared to the variation of delta phi, because this delta phi is the variation because of this delta nd, and phi f is the variation. I mean, if you are not for example, if you have not applied any biases, will there be any change in the phi f? No. Yes or no? We have already seen that the Fermi potential energy or the Fermi energy level is invariant across the device under equilibrium. Okay, remember that concept. So these energy levels are changing, whereas the Fermi energy level remains the same throughout the device, as long as you are applying no excitation or no biases. That means it is under equilibrium. So in this case also the same thing. Remember, when we are considering Debye length, we are not speaking about the specifics of the doping, specifics of the biasing. It is doped. We are essentially trying to find out the error which can happen because of a sudden change in the doping level. Okay, na? So now uh, for the doping level, so phi f variation will occur only because of biases. Okay, under no bias or under equilibrium, this delta phi, okay, I'll just write here like this. Is equal to this, since d phi f dx under equilibrium. There is an easier way to understand. Okay, now if this is true, I will just replace df dx by d2 delta f by dx square. Understood? And here we are left with this ni e to the power of phi f by phi t. This factor here, if you notice, is the same factor at this part, right? So nd is equal to this. So this is going to be equal to nd e to the power of minus delta phi by phi t. Okay? So I have just written that over here. Now what we shall do is we will do a Taylor's expansion of this, or simply we will expand e to the power of minus theta. So let us take only the two orders, I mean two terms itself. So e to the power of minus delta phi by phi t becomes 1 minus delta phi by phi t. Okay, so here Taylor's expansion. Okay, so what is the case here? If nd, here is an nd, here is minus nd, so they will cancel out, and you are left with this term. Okay, so you are finally, this is the equation becomes like that. There is one, this is ld square, I'm sorry. Okay, and then what is the solution of this? Clearly this delta phi is going to be something like a e to the power of x by ld plus b e to the power of minus x by ld. However, our interest is not in the solution for this particular value. मुझे ये delta phi निकालने की कोई interest नहीं है. But what I am interested in to note is what is the order of this LD. Why is that important? We will come to know immediately. So notice that this is a solution. Okay. So once we have obtained the value of LD, which is the Debye length, what is that LD? Root over of this epsilon phi, epsilon SI phi t by Q and D. Okay. Now we are saying that this LD is essentially a Debye length. Now, if it is a Debye length, then what do we understand that why is it a length per se? So all we will do is instead of epsilon SI, we will replace it by its. This is basically dimensional analysis. So we will note that epsilon is the farad per centimeter into volt divided by coulomb per centimeter cube. So they will cancel, and you will essentially end up in centimeter units. So that means this denominator of this delta phi is nothing other than the unit of centimeter square. Okay. Now, for the standard doping level, so here is the sort of the conclusion of this entire modeling analysis. For standard doping levels, as I told you, so this is nothing other than the 1 ppm doping. Okay, this is the 1 ppm doping. So in the standard 1 ppm doping, you are having 10 power 16 per centimeter cube, right? So all I have done is I have replaced this epsilon SI with the its value phi t at room temperature and this Q and ND, and it turns out to be this value. You can do the calculation yourself. So that is nothing other than 41 nanometers for an ambient doping of ambient doping. That means doping in that region when it is 10 power 16 per centimeter cube. Okay. So what it means is that if the region where you are considering, we are trying to find out the LD, if that region is having a doping of 10 power 16 per centimeter cube, you that the junction for that particular, so that means if ND over here is 10 power 16, let us say, then it will take a distance of 41 nanometers to respond to a sudden change in the doping levels. Okay. Now our current technology is 5 nanometers. So can if you have understood well, uh, I will recommend that you can open up your microphones and start telling me what is the consequence of this LD if we are using this amount of doping concentration in a 5 nanometer technology node. क्या होने वाला है?
The whole region itself is destroyed.
What is the significance of this? We have been doing a lot of mathematics until now, but the final conclusion is that if we are having an ambient doping of 10 power 16 per centimeter cube in the device, okay, then it will take 41 nanometers, at least 41 nanometers distance to respond to any change in the doping levels. 41 nanometers. समझ में आ रहा है? And our current technology is 5 nanometers. So, hello, hello, hello.
Hello, sir.
Anyway, क्या हो सकता है? Just imagine the situation now. We are we are speaking about 5 nanometer technology node. So let's talk about 500 nanometer technology node. 500 तो ज़्यादा है, 180 nanometers. Okay, so in 180 nanometer, when we say that this part is n plus, this part is n plus, okay, this is p region. Okay, so that means if we are looking at 180 nanometers and this is n plus is a very heavy doping, let us say 10 power 19, p is, let us say, 10 power 16. I am not writing the per centimeter cube everywhere, just saving space. So now there is a junction over here, n plus p junction. Okay, it means that since it is 10 power 16, it is going to eat away 41 nanometers here, And this is also 10 power 19, right? This is going to eat away another 1041 nanometers from this side because it is a junction. So what it means is the actual design and the circuit design, whatever you have done, that will be functional only between this region. Okay, because this 41 nanometers, wherever we are having this 41 nanometers variation of this device length, you are not sure whether this 10 power 16 is there or not. It is somewhere between 10 power 16 and 10 power 19. There is an erroneous zone. We do something about it. It's called pocket and halo doping. We will understand that. I'm not sure if it was done in ICFT. Okay, so now let us understand if the situation is for 45 nanometer technology node. What will happen? This channel region, the perfect channel region, will not be existing at all. So when you are designing for the threshold voltage of these devices, you are designing for this particular value of this is what we will be considering as the effective channel length, and accordingly we will design the VT and everything, right? So if we are essentially trying to have like 10 power 16 over here, then clearly you can understand that you are not going to have the same channel length as you wanted. Okay. Now, let us take the situation for 5 nanometers. So you can imagine if it is a 5 nanometer, this 10 power 16 is rubbish. You simply cannot dope it over there. So what to do? You have to somehow or the other reduce the value of LD so that this erroneous zone, we will not be able to expect a perfect step junction between N plus and P as we have been doing until now. So in practice, in practical situations, you are always going to have an erroneous zone. This erroneous zone is the Debye length. तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं? Debye length को कम कर सकते हैं. कहाँ पर कम करोगे? Only this ND is the factor which you have in your hand. Epsilon Si, phi t, and q, they are all constants. So the only way you can do is you have to increase the doping concentration. Remember, when we were dealing with the doping levels in modern technology, I told you, right? So in modern technology, the doping level is in the order of, can somebody tell me? Hello? The minimum value I
10
told 10
power
power
20,
11.
10
Maximum
power
value I have
20.
told 10 power 21. Very good. But in current technology node, how much is the doping value? This standard doping levels, they are valid for micrometer technology. So that is the reason why in the textbooks on microelectronic circuits, micro, wherever you hear the term microelectronics, they will never be bothered about this very, very important concept of Debye length because they are dealing with micro. So instead of this 180 nanometers, suppose it is like 1 micron technology. So 1 micron में 41 nanometers या फिर 92 नैनो 82 nanometers चला गया तो उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है ना. But the moment you are speaking about 32 nanometer, okay, 14 nanometer, 7 nanometer, nowadays 5 nanometers, then this 41 nanometer erroneous zone becomes really, really important. Okay, so if it is ND for 7 nanometer, 5 nanometer, these kind of nanometers, nano technology, kind of nano scale electronic devices, that essentially varies between 10 power 18 to 10 power 19 per centimeter cube. ठीक है ना? So at this order, so what is the situation here? This is 10 power 16, right? So notice if I had made it instead of this 10 power 16, if I just simply replace it by 10 power 18, क्या होने वाला है? This is going to be, I have multiplied the denominator by 100, 16 से लेकर 18 तक. So I'm going to divide this LD by 10, correct? So this 41 nanometers become immediately 4.1 nanometers. So that means instead of this 10 power 16, if I have here just 10 power 18 per centimeter cube, you will be left with only 4 nanometers. Getting me everyone? हाँ तो यहाँ पर सिर्फ 4 nanometers हो जाएंगे. So that means the ambient doping of the substrate of that MOSFET has to be increased rapidly. Okay. So in fact, when we are speaking about 7 nanometers, so sub 10 nanometer technology node, in those cases we use even higher. That itself becomes 10 power 19. Either you use 10 power 19 or else, but that 10 power 19, as I told you, this is becoming equal to the doping at the source side. The source side essentially turns to 10 power 20 only in modern technology. So instead of, so I'll just put here 7 nanometer. But the problem is, this is one way of tackling the issue with the um, debye length. But remember that you are anyway going to lose the gate control. So we have to use 3D architecture. That's why it is called FinFETs, FinFET technology, 3D FinFETs. Okay, so what I'm showing you is a standard conventional MOSFET design. That is a planar technology. FinFET is a 3D technology. Okay, so what we have understood here until now in this lecture is that depending on the technology node, what we have to do, we have to keep on increasing the doping levels. So I'll just change this here. You have to increase the doping levels of the substrate. Got it, everyone? All of you with me? Okay. So later on, when we do the scaling theory, towards the end of this semester, we will learn that when we are scaling the technology, okay, then we have to go on increasing the doping levels. Okay, so that means if you are scaling, so what we have observed over here, notice that the dimension LD, if it is becoming 1/10, okay, we have to increase ND by how much? 100 times. Okay, so that means if we want to scale it by LD by X, we have to increase the doping by X square. Okay, so X is the number of times we want to scale the dimension. So over there we will again speak about the debye length, and we will again revisit this topic. So what we have understood is that if we are trying to scale the technology node, we have to increase the dopings simultaneously. Otherwise, we are never going to achieve proper function. Okay. Okay. Questions like Ashok is there, and also I think I saw Shashank raising his hand. Yeah, please go ahead, one after another.
Sir, am I audible? Hello.
Yeah, somebody tell Shashank. Yeah, फिर Ashok, you had a question, right?
Yes, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Hello, hello. Am I offline? Hello,
No, sir, you are audible.
hello.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now it is. Yes.
Uh, yes. I actually, sir, in Spice model files, when I observe there, a set of model files will be there, and when we talk about the technology node as suppose if we take 180 nanometer or 130 nanometer, there the length, if we look at the Spice model files, they will be different from the what exactly is the technology node. I
Yeah,
mean, some
definitely,
differences.
definitely.
So, what is the difference? And if we say technology node as 7 nanometer, so is that the original length of the channel or effective channel length?
No, no, no. Basically, this hasn't been taught in the ICFT course. How do you define the technology node? Remember that whenever we are making this device, for instance, okay, we do not have a control over the exact value of this channel length. What we do have a value, we have a control over, is the perforation in the mask which you are using for making these patterns. Okay, so this is your photolithography mask, photolitho mask. Okay, and you are essentially shining the light, whatever ion implantation में ions भेजेंगे, whatever. Okay, so what happens is this distance, between the, which is basically the minimum perforation on the mask. Okay, that defines the technology node. Okay, so that means when we are speaking about a 7 nanometer technology node, or say 180 nanometer, so this is 180 nanometer for sure. Okay, but whenever you are doing that uh, masking, then what happens is basically यहाँ पर ऐसे दिखने वाला है. I'll tell you, because this is your mask. Okay, this is your n plus and n plus region, right? So this is your 180 nanometers, and that defines a technology node. That means the minimum perforation or the minimum slit on the mask, which will essentially determine the size of the gate or the various patterns uh, on the silicon wafer. However, as I have already shown one of the issues with the device length, this length will be shortened because of this device length issue. So if you are speaking about the effective channel length, this is one of the problems. Another problem is that there will be some ions which will essentially sneak into this. That's called pocket halo. Okay, those are certain terms. It is, I don't know if you have heard it. It's called pocket halo. So what happens is you are essentially going to have the effective channel length which is always less than the technology node. Okay, so that means whenever you are speaking about 7 nanometers, you are never going to have the exact effective channel length as 7 nanometers. Then you might ask, then how come they are telling that, okay, in the library file, in the spice model file, you are essentially you will be having some lg value which is given something, because those have been measured after this fabrication process has been done. And that is the reason why when you are making one chip, when you are designing a chip for the chip tape out, you have to always do the design with respect to that particular fab library, technology library. So that means if you are targeting TSMC, then TSMC will share their own technology file, and from there we will be using that LG for our calculations. Okay, so this is something we have to keep in mind. Okay, Ashok.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So the technology node is defined not by the effective channel length, which you do not have a control of, but the the fabrication facility, the fabrication technology is essentially given by this, the minimum distance of the perforation that you are capable of making using lasers. Usually those patterning on the lithography mask are done with lasers. So that is what we are looking into. Now, this is called, you can essentially ask your ICFT professors, Parikshit sir, this is called pitch length. Now, this pitch length concept, okay, so the pitch length is basically the referring to this particular length of the smallest perforation in the technology node, which you can make on the mask. So this is your mask. So did it ever occur to any one of you that how come, like, Intel is is making all these processors? We all say that, right? So Intel and Qualcomm, those are US companies. However, all the everything, any kind of laptop, smartphone, anything you purchase, they will be made in China or made in Indonesia, made in Vietnam, sometimes made in Taiwan, right? So if it is like from Intel or Qualcomm, why isn't it made in the US? That is because Intel is having the IP restriction on this mask, which is the most important thing. Because once you have the mask, you can simply use the pattern for making any number of devices you want. Millions of devices to be, millions of not only devices, millions of chips to be exact. Okay, so this mask is your IP. This is your intellectual property. Okay, so this is patented by Intel. All right, so that means and this mask perforations are made according to the layouts which you make. That is called physical designs. Layouts have started in your VLSI design course, I guess. Hello.
Not yet, sir.
Not yet. So in VLSI, when you are doing layouts, you will understand that layout is basically the top view when you are looking from this side. Okay, so that means if you are having one mask, this square one, let us say this is a mask, so we are going to make contacts like this. Okay, some active region like this. Okay, now these are the perforations in which the minimum distance over here, so this is going to be your effective channel length. Okay, this is an inactive region which I have drawn. This one is polysilicon. So this small space over here, this is, let us say, 7 nanometers. So that will essentially determine that will basically mean that the gate length over here is 7 nanometers. So this is basically 7 nanometer mask. Now once Intel has patented this, then what they will do is they will make, let us say, 8 masks like this, 8 or 10 masks, and it will send out to 8 or 10 different fab facilities in the world. So it can be in Indonesia, Taiwan, China. Okay, many different, even probably India is also planning to start Intel fab facility in India. So if we have that, then what happens is these fab facilities, what they will do is they will simply take this pattern and they will simply this. So this is the top view, as I have told you. Okay, so it will be like this. So whatever, wherever is a perforation inside the mask, it is going to shine light for photolithography process, or it is going to that through that perforation it will essentially send out I mean boron ions or something, and essentially it will pattern it on the silicon wafer. So if you can somehow steal this Intel's mask, okay, if you can steal it, you will essentially become, I mean, you will be producing chips like anything. All i7 processors, i9 processors will be in your hand, because silicon wafer you can get very easily, but what you cannot get is this particular mask. Okay, so that is the reason why the smallest dimension of the perforations on the mask essentially determines the technology node. Okay, and that is called the pitch length. Now when you are speaking about memories, then we say something about half pitch length. Okay, I am not going into that much details. So if you are working in SanDisk, for instance, so that means you are a fabrication guy in SanDisk or Western Digital. Okay, so the memory giants. So over there, what you have to do is you deal with the half pitch length. Whereas if you are working with logic uh, products, let us say processor technology, then you have to bother about with pitch length. Okay, so why and how, I think ICFT professor is supposed to answer all that. Okay, this is more a topic of fabrication. So if I were teaching you ICFT, I will go into those details. Yes, Shashank, please tell me.
Sir, they can, while making the mask, they can take in consideration of effective debye length also.
That is how, yeah, they do so. I mean, no, because this device length is something. Uh, I'll tell you, like, how do you take care of the device length? Notice the device length can, I mean, you can have an idea about the order of the device length. Okay, for example, we have only found that exact order is 10 power minus 7, so around it will be something around 4.1 nanometers. We cannot say whether it will be 3.9 or 4.3 nanometers. No. So what we will have to do is we are going to increase the doping levels. Okay, so the moment we are essentially increasing the doping level in a lower technology node, so those of you like Ashok has done it. So what I'll recommend is that you can go through my website, and on my institute website you will find several technology nodes there. So you download those technology node libraries, and you will essentially figure out what is the doping levels. What you will observe is that the doping level simply steadily goes on increasing as you are going to the lower technology nodes. So just to answer Shashank's question, what we understand is that the moment you are increasing the doping level, you are reducing the LD. Clear, right? So if you are taking 10 power 18, the LD is reduced to 4.1 nanometer. Okay, so that means this is the way you can essentially kind of reduce the error because of the step junction consideration. Correct. But you can never ensure that, okay, I mean, we are always going to have it lower than that. No, we cannot do it. Okay, so Shashank's question was like, why isn't it possible to take care of the doping? I mean, take care of this device length problem. Okay, this erroneous step junction consideration problem while fabrication itself. Yes, you can. How do you do it? You simply increase the doping over here so that LD will be reduced. So the error zone, okay, this error zone will essentially be reduced. Instead of 41 nanometers, it will be 4.1 nanometers. So it's much less, 10 times less. Okay, Shashank? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
also, where will be the depletion region formula? Like inside the erroneous zone or
No,
after?
no, 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 no. That is what. When we will be dealing with the depletion region, you will find for the same doping levels, like 10 power 16, what we had as 41 nanometers, that is going to be 41 micrometer or something. Okay. So remember, I mean, that is the reason why I did this depletion region. In the next class itself, we will be starting with the junctions and the depletion region. So depletion region is basically the distance at which your, let us say, the fields will respond, electrons will respond, the free carriers will respond at the order of depletion region. Here it is the response of the immobile charge carriers. That means you cannot ensure that the doping is going to be sharper, or let us say more accurate than this 41 or 4.1 nanometers if the doping is 10 power 18. ठीक है ना, समझ में आ रहा है? Whereas in case of PN junction and the depletion region, it is much, much larger. So, I mean, we will be going into that in the next class itself. But just to conclude today's lecture, let me just finish it. So, here is a typical case of a PN junction, right? So, somewhere in the middle, you will be having the EI. Okay. So, technically, if we can imagine that wherever EF crosses this, wherever EI basically crosses this EF line, so that means here, okay, this is the point we can say it is an intrinsic region. So that means this is the junction. Okay. Now this, as you can, many of you might be knowing that this is basically the depletion width, that is WD. Okay, na? And here I have used LD. This LD happens to be, this is the variation of EC EV. This is again EF, this is EI, this is, sorry, this is EC, this is EV, this is again EV. This is the variation of the potentials along the x direction. This is obviously the energy in electron volts, x is in nanometers. Okay. Now, in the microelectronic devices, this will be in the order of micrometers. So WD will be in the order of micrometers. What you will observe is that as far as the doping is concerned, doping is going to be something like this. Here is your Na and here is your Nd. But if you look very, very intently, so if you sort of you zoom this, okay. So if you zoom it like this, then what you will observe is there is a small variation here. It's not exactly step. And this small variation is in the order of, oh, so if we are speaking about this is going to be 41 nanometer. Since we are speaking about micro technology, it will become 41 nanometer. Okay, so this small variation of the, instead of becoming a perfect Na and Nd, there is a small variation in the variation in the slope. Let us say slope of this Na and Nd at the junction. This is in the order of 41 nanometers. That's what we have seen in the calculation, right? So this doping, this depletion width is much larger than 41, and as a consequence, if you now zoom back, okay, it will be almost like a straight line. So that is the reason why in microelectronic technology nobody even bothered about this Debye length, because they will always think that okay, it is quite possible to do perfect junction in Na and Nd, because, and we never bothered because the depletion width and all the other dimensions of the device will be in micrometers. Okay, the problem appears the moment we are speaking of in the nanometer nanoscale technologies. So when we are saying that okay, depletion width itself is, let us say, is in the order of say 10 nanometer, we cannot afford to have Na and Nd in the order of 10 power 16, because if it is 10 power 16, what will happen? This small variation will be somewhat like that. Here it will be zoomed in like this. Okay, because this distance is how much? 41 nanometers. Do you get my point? So it is simply impossible for you to even imagine the situation if you are applying the same kind of doping which you use for microelectronic technology for making devices at 7 nanometer technology node. ठीक है ना? तो हमें क्या करना पड़ेगा? We have to simply increase the doping concentration. Okay, so in NND, the moment you are saying it is like, okay, instead of 10 power 16, we'll make it 10 power 18. Then this is 10 nanometers, and as I said, this is 4.1. So let us say this will be like that. If it is 10 power 19, it will be even smaller. That erroneous zone across the junction will be much lesser. Okay, everybody with me? Yeah, getting me right? So
Yes.
Debye length is basically that is the minimum distance you have to always keep in mind when you are fabricating devices or circuits. क्योंकि अगर वो Debye length के around आ जाता है ना, then your design is gone basically. I mean, you will be doing a lot of mathematics, no problem, but in reality it will never work. Okay, so you have to always keep that Debye length in mind. Fine, so that is the one very important, the last topic of silicon, so to speak, we did before starting with the PN junction. So from next class, I mean, we will be having only one class before the midsem. So we will begin with the fundamentals of PN junction. Electrostatics will be over. After the midsem, one or two classes I'll take for finishing off with the IV. After that, I will extend PN junction for BJTs. So, okay, let me just show you something. Uh, yeah, so your exam is on 23rd, right? So on the last week of October, we will finish off with the diodes. Okay. And then the first week of November, that means 3 or 4 classes after that, we will finish off with the diodes, current, BJTs. And after that, the entire rest of the course we'll be doing only MOSFETs. Because at the end of this course, my whole target is to basically teach you MOSFETs like anything. Okay. Because MOSFETs are the only devices you will be encountering um, in the VLSI world. Okay, so in FinFETs, TFETs, whatever they are, whatever they are, so they are basically special types of MOSFETs, so to speak. Okay, they are anyway the field effect devices. Okay, so that's all for today. So I'll just stop the recording. If you have any questions, you can ask me, or else